tuned into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Micheal Pope.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry and apologize for my tardiness this morning. Just as I went to hit the button to start, Facebook required me to update and did all kinds of things. So I'm 4 minutes late this morning and I apologize. Hopefully you all stayed on and didn't leave us. Welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey, where we explore topics about aging and living and life in general. And my name is Micheal Pope and I am your host here at Life is a Sacred Journey. So this Friday, we decided, thank you, Felicia, for all your support, that we were going to begin by talking about dementia and Alzheimer's. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because a lot of times people will come to me or say to me, yes, my family, my loved one has a diagnosis of dementia, but it's not Alzheimer's. I feel bad because I want to educate them on what dementia is and what the difference is between dementia and Alzheimer's, and help to raise the stigma that people living with dementia, forms of dementia, are also individuals that can be in the world and are in the world and want to be engaged with all of us through that fog of dementia, depending on what form of dementia that they have. So let me first of all say good morning again. Good afternoon and good evening to all of you, and hit that share button if you know a caregiver that's out there right now caring for somebody with a diagnosis of dementia, and we'll talk about what dementia is and what it entails. And then to all of you, say good morning to each other. Say, hey, how you doing? Hope you're enjoying this Christmas season, Advent season, holiday season, and that you're doing it with no stress and that you're not running around. So let's get into the topic of dementia. So what is dementia? Again, a lot of folks will say what I quoted before, my mom has dementia, but it's not Alzheimer's. And what they don't understand when they make that statement, that dementia is a general term that describes loss of memory, language, problem solving, and other thinking abilities. So in itself, dementia is, and usually when you see it, if you go online, you'll probably see an umbrella and it'll say dementia, and off of the little spokes on the umbrella, it will have the different symptoms that make up dementia. So loss of memory, language challenges, sometimes aphasia, problem solving, and thinking abilities, as well as not having the ability to navigate spatially. It does affect all of those things. So dementia is that wonderful umbrella. So imagine my hand as an umbrella that has all of those things hanging off of it. And then when they say dementia, and they'll say Alzheimer's dementia is the dementia that is usually related to memory loss. And while the memory loss creates other symptoms under the umbrella of Alzheimer's, Alzheimer's is only one dementia. Okay? So let me know that you understand that. So dementia is loss of memory, all the symptoms that people experience with Alzheimer's and other diseases that come under that umbrella. But it's a bunch of symptoms. So it's like cold. If you say, I have a cold, what are the symptoms of a cold? For some, runny nose, cough, low-grade fever, maybe fever, tiredness, achiness. Oh, okay, wait a minute though, might that be the flu? So when you say cold, you know there's certain symptoms. When you say flu, you know there's certain symptoms. Now we have this new thing, COVID, and we know the symptoms of that. So that's what dementia is. Dementia just is that umbrella that holds the symptoms. Unfortunately, when we describe dementia, most people want to describe it as a single disease when it's an overall term. And the Alzheimer's Association has great resources that to educate, videos, PDFs, all kinds of things. But today on Life is a Sacred Journey, we're just trying to help you to navigate that information because it does impact the way that you care give. It does impact your knowledge. And so dementia, again, describes the abnormal brain changes that happens when somebody, and I'm going to use Alzheimer's as the primary dementia to describe today. There are all forms, lots of forms of dementia. So we know people who have dementia from it's called vascular dementia. So those individuals probably had either major stroke or multiple strokes along the way that have impacted their ability to live out their activities of daily living. So that's like a medical term to say how to unscrew a bottle, something like that, because this is an activity of daily living, that in order to drink water or to do certain things, we have to unscrew something. In order to put our makeup on, we have to unscrew. So we need to know what activities of daily living. Combing our hair, unless you have hair like Micheal Pope, I don't comb it very often. I put water in it and do whatever. But that's an activity of daily living. Brushing your teeth is an activity of daily living. Being able to zip your boot is an activity of daily living. So all of these things, there's no buttons, but if there were buttons on this, to button it. But even to think about putting it around you to keep yourself warm is a part of your activities of daily living that help you to sustain yourself independently in your community and your home and your neighborhood. So anything that impacts that, like I know one gentleman, his wife said that she began to realize that he was having some dementia symptoms when he lost track of the days of the week and couldn't keep a schedule, even though he had written it down and had access to it. He had kind of forgotten, and it was a part of his life, his activities of daily living. In the medical field, they're mostly things like brushing your teeth that we measure, combing your hair, being able to dress yourself, your hygiene. That's a big one, that when someone is experiencing dementia, that may go before anything else. And that's sort of like the ding, ding, ding red flag that something's going on. For somebody like, and I think I've said this in many presentations, but for somebody like myself that is not a regular manicure person, I'll go for the holidays because I like looking cute, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis. Pedicures, yes. Manicures, no. So at the end of the day, this would not be something that you would say, wow, something's going on. Micheal's not keeping her nails. Now they're clean and I do the emery board, but I don't go and get a formal manicure. So what I'm saying is, if you have someone in your life and you visit them now over the holiday season, and all of a sudden you begin to see, wow, they're not getting their nails done. Or if it's, or a man who was very well groomed, and now all of a sudden and it's not all of a sudden. So let me take that back. It's just, we didn't see it, or we didn't recognize it, but then their behavior starts to change, or the way they dress, or their hygiene, where they're going into the bathroom but not really bathing themselves in a way that would promote hygiene and lack of odor and those things. We're not changing their underwear or clothes on a daily basis for because the one thing is I've worn my jeans multiple days, but at least I've bathed and cleaned my underwear and changed my underwear. So therefore there's what I mean? So it's those kinds of activities of daily living that impact, and you see it. And it's not those one-off things, that's the thing, that it may start off as a one-off, but that one-off, you're not going to know anything about. That one-off is between the individual and the one-off. And so they're probably not going to share that with you. By the time you see it, note it, and acknowledge it, it's been happening for a while. And all the research shows that people, particularly the folks who are highly educated and have the ability to wordsmith and mask things, they will realize something is happening, but they will mask it and find ways to adapt to it. It's almost like, my stigmatism. I have one eye that sees really great far away, and then I have another eye that only sees close up. Well, when I put contacts or wear glasses, it balances those things off. But a person who is experiencing early onset dementia, whether it be Alzheimer's or whatever's causing it, they begin to have these little breaks in their memory. Loss of memory is the hallmark of dementia. So whether it be Alzheimer's, vascular dementia, a head injury where the frontal lobe or other parts of the brain are damaged, and in fact affects memory. And so we want to make sure that when we're working or loving or caring or walking beside somebody with dementia, that we understand that we must be very, very patient. But we also must pay attention to those little moments when the person is not engaged. Because that recently here at ASAB, a lot of people may know this already, but we've gone through a major transition as it relates to our staff, meaning the team, the multidisciplinary team staff. And so what that has done is made us kind of come back into ourselves and really revision and challenge ourselves to move to another level, not meaning the level where we were with those individuals was bad, but it means that it's time to take a fresher look at things. And so when we began to look at that, we realized that we had sometimes, even though we had the Montessori training, and we want to thank the Longs Foundation every year. We thank the Longs Foundation for that wonderful gift to help us to learn, and the Janet Brush Group to help us to learn Montessori. But what happens is, as a society, we practice ageism. And so what happens, even with all that training, we have to constantly be training, constantly moving back into the paradigm of independence, the paradigm of this person is experiencing this, so we have to adapt to them and not try to make them adapt back to us or to be something that they cannot be. And so dementia is a place where we, those of us that have cognition or memory, we're the ones doing the work to be able to communicate. I hope I'm making sense to you this morning, because one of the things that I've learned being back on the floor and really more hands-on downstairs in the program is that these are vital, intelligent, magnificent people who are experiencing memory loss, which creates confusion about time and place, which creates confusion about their emotions, which creates confusion about safety parameters, personal safety parameters. And they are living in a space and time and a trajectory in their life, so space and time, where things have stopped and they don't quite understand what's going on. And it's us, meaning those of us around them, including their family and their community, that need to think about better ways of meeting these individuals where they are. Because I'm noticing that physically, the individuals that are coming to the program are very physically fit. And we have daily walks twice a day, exercise, bikes, parallel bars. And so we're engaging them as well, but they're coming in with less medications, younger. So they're not everybody that's here is over the age of 65. And the dementia is one where space and time is really impacted, as well as that desire to feel safe. So dementia, again, is not a single disease. It's just like when we say heart disease, it covers a wide range of specific medical conditions, including Alzheimer's disorders. Alzheimer's happens to be, again, the number one dementia that we speak about the most, because we're living in a time where all of our baby boomers, including the last of them, are moving into their aged years or their elder years, and Alzheimer's specifically was diagnosed for a person by Dr. Alzheimer's, go figures, over the age of 65. And so that kind of started that understanding of what Alzheimer's was, and how to look for it, and all of those things. So Alzheimer's disease, again, accounts for 60 to 80% of the dementia cases. Vascular dementia, which occurs because of microscopic bleeding and blood vessel blockage in the brain, is the second most common cause of dementia. And those who experience those brain changes of multiple types of dementia usually have mixed dementia. So there's a gentleman that I know that has Alzheimer's dementia, but also has had strokes. So there's the vascular dementia going on, as well as the Alzheimer's dementia, which is the plaques and tangles in the neurotransmitters of the brain. So you can imagine all those things are going on at the same time with this individual. And so the confusion that they must have. So that brings me to the behaviors in a little bit, is when you're with someone who is demonstrating dementia behaviors because of what is happening in their brain, it really takes us to slow down, to take our volume of our voice down, to get eye contact, because that's very important. If the person is someone who you can touch gently, but not restrictively touching them, just to get their attention, to bring them into a one-on-one intentional conversation with you. That is one of the ways to approach an individual, so you can redirect them from whatever is happening. Redirecting means what it means, moving you from one place to another. So if whether it be topic, physical space, it's moving you from that space to a different space, mentally, spiritually, physically, and you're redirecting the person. And normally we're trying to do the redirection when someone isn't being, in the terms of the world, it's called wandering. We decided language was really important to our training and to how people live here at Alzheimer's Services, not meaning live 24/7, but when they're in the program. And so we stopped calling it wandering, because the wandering is such a negative term that it implies you're just aimlessly roaming. And we have observed the individuals in our program, when they get up and begin to move around, we realize sometimes it's pure boredom. Just bored. They're bored with us. They're bored with the activity. They want to do something different. And so redirecting and re-engaging them in something that they are really interested in is so important. I'm going to give you an example that happened this week. We have two gentlemen in the program, grew up in the Bay Area, and Warrior fans. Wow. And Raider fans. Okay. So there was some activities going on. Bingo. There's a group of people in the program that love bingo, and they were playing bingo. And these two gentlemen got up as the game was progressing and began to walk around and mess with the doorknobs. They walked outside to the patio, but it was a little cold, so they came back in, and they just were really looking like they were lost. But in our terms, we would call it wandering. So I happened to walk into the room. Again, as I said, I'm spending time down there due to change in staff. And I thought, okay, he told me he loves the Warriors. So right away, YouTube is so phenomenal for good things. It has some yucky stuff, but it's also good. And we found all of the highlights of not just the Warriors, but basketball games all the way back to the sort of the 50s and 60s, where the Celtics and oh man, and they were highlights. And so they were amazing. And I love basketball. So we were in there, the three of us, and it sounded like we were at a basketball game. And it was so amazing to me, just being engaged with them and I was excited. I was like, because I saw, oh my gosh, I don't know, who was it? It was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Oh man, yeah, you forget that there were other people that flew. Michael Jordan wasn't the only basketball player that flew. Kareem flew. And so, it's just like you begin to have these memories, me as a child, them as not children or teenagers, and we began to share. It was an intentional engagement using YouTube as to facilitate. And then after that went off, then the football highlights came on. And so Green Bay Packers, all of that happened. So an hour went by where if we had not connected, we together, because I'm no guru in this, but if I hadn't kind of realized, let's get them doing something that they will enjoy, might have created disturbance to the people that were playing bingo. Staff would have had to try to figure out what to do, which is, that's what they do, but they would have had to try to figure out what to do. They would have been annoyed. There would have possibly been a behavior. And instead, it was an hour of humanity. I got so much out of it. And yes, there was an hour of work that I didn't do for the day. And yes, all these other entities that govern us want us in the office doing this, and this. And it's unfortunate, but I have the hardest time because I'm always trying to remind them that we're here to serve the people. And while in fact, all the documents that I have to fill out and to do are very, very important, and I don't poo-poo them, but if I'm telling you that I'm caring for the people, keeping the people safe, then why are you bigger, more money entity not supporting that? And why are you sweating, for a lack of a better way of saying it, why are you sweating an organization that really is trying to do the work? And so, that's where we have all these disparities and how we provide care. On one hand, we have all the rules and regulations that say you have to do it this way. But yet when you do it that way and it takes away from the gobbledygook and the enormous amount of paperwork, then you get penalized and punished for it. And that's a mixed message in this very field in which I've chosen to give my life to. And so I that's something that I just a sidebar, and because it's a pondering, I can do a sidebar every once in a second. So going back to dementia and also the word senility. I want to bring that up because sometimes dementia is often incorrectly referred to as senility or senile dementia, which reflects the formerly widespread but incorrect, according to the Alzheimer's Association, that belief that serious mental decline is a normal part of aging. It is not. It's not normal. It's stuff that's going on in our brains. And sometimes I think now they're looking at environmental things that might cause some form of dementia. I'm going to go into signs and symptoms of dementia, but I want to thank all of you for joining us here at Life is a Sacred Journey this morning. You are amazing and wonderful, and that's where you've landed. If you've just joined us, hit the share button, let somebody else know, or if later on today you go by and you see someone that needs some help with a loved one that's living with dementia, please let them know that they can find this podcast all on YouTube, Facebook. It'll drop on Facebook again, Life is a Sacred Journey, and Micheal Pope Productions website. So you can go to all those places and let people know. So symptoms and signs, short-term memory, and that happens where people cannot, and short-term memory, yes, is in the 5 minutes to 20 minutes, but short-term memory can also mean the last year. Okay, the things that are new in the life of the individual, the short-term stuff. Long-term memory, usually people will be able to navigate that for quite some time. And I know you know that. They can tell you stories of when they went to their kindergarten class, sometimes recall that teacher's name and all of that. But it's the last 20 years of their life that they have a tendency to forget. Loved ones, children that they've given birth to, marriages, people that they have loved. The snapshots of their life seem to disappear. And that's why, these phones have become, for people with dementia, the galleries on the phones are hard to see because of the reflection of the screen. And so we're constantly saying to families, print some of those pictures and make photo albums where people can touch it, turn the pages, sit close with you as you're navigating that activity. And you can do that really easily. You can print the pictures up now at home. I can't, but you can. I don't know how to do that. But I've recently started a photo album again, sending pictures to Walgreens or wherever. And just really, just putting together a photo album is really fun. When I was in Belgium, one of the families that I visited, they had wonderful books where they had taken their adventures and turned them into books. And what a legacy they're creating for their grandchildren and for the future generations to come. And I know some of you out there say, oh, nobody wants that stuff. There's always somebody in a family that is the legacy keeper. I have a cousin, Shanine, and she's the legacy keeper for our family. I mean, she's done the DNA search, all of that. And so there always is one person in the family that will want the history of the family to continue. And we need to go back to doing that, because some of that lack of connection is the very reason that our young people are experiencing so much depression, isolation, separation, and anxiety, because they don't have a sense of connection to family and a groundedness that is so necessary to make it through times of change, and particularly times of pandemic and the things that we're experiencing now. Food for thought, pondering. So signs and symptoms of dementia. I'm going to move along and get you back into your Friday. We talked about short-term memory, keeping track of a purse or a wallet. Not like Micheal Pope, who has a bag where my wallet falls out of it from time to time, but keeping track of it. Paying bills, either overpaying them or not paying them. Just keeping track of when to pay them, all those kinds of things. Planning and preparing meals. Why? Do you see the correlation there? Step by step by step. Ingredients. So you've got to do things a certain way. It's obeying the recipe. It's getting the items that you need, not substituting just because you want to try a new flavor, right? Or like somebody said, oh yeah, macaroni and cheese, put lobster in it. Okay, well, that's substituting. But I'm talking about where you cannot follow the recipe. You cannot figure out the ingredients. Remembering appointments that you have made, doctor's appointments. Now, I have a lot of appointments. And so that's why I have a dry erase calendar right here visually. And I also keep a day timer because one, I actually, I don't live 9 lives like a cat, but I live about 3 different lives that require me to be engaged and have appointments. And so I have to do it that way. Or I would forget, but it's only because it's so much, I tell myself. But I think that's what it is. But appointments, when you start to forget them, or you show up early for them, or you show up, you don't show up at all for the appointment, or making them, or actually even making them. I, on the other hand, don't make them because I don't have time for them, particularly doctor's appointments. So I'm one of those non-compliant people. Traveling out of the neighborhood, where they travel out of the neighborhood and think it's a different, the neighborhood they grew up in. They get out and they are lost. They don't know how to get back. They don't know how to use the GPS. Those are some of the signs, symptoms and signs of dementia. And then when they go in for diagnosis, that's when they try to figure out what form of dementia it is. Is it dementia? I mean, dementia from Alzheimer's. Is it vascular dementia? And knowing that it is brain cell damage. Okay, brain cell damage. And because these individuals present so well from time to time, this is what I've also noticed, that people forget that the brain, the damage to the brain is going to impact and interfere with the person's ability to navigate emotion, not see things or understand things, to communicate. And the brain cells aren't communicating with each other. Do you know what's going on in my brain right now in order for me just to present, to have in the first 4 minutes when all of a sudden Facebook said, no, you have to do this, and to not get so stressed that I had to figure out, I need to put a new password in. I need to do this. I got to give the new password to Felicia later on. All of that was going on in my brain while I was thinking, okay, my folks, our Life is a Sacred Journey family is waiting for us. Okay, how do we do this calmly and make sure that everything works out? That is the brain cells just boom-ba-da, 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 bopping up inside of this noggin of mine and trying to make sure, one, keep the stress level down, which messes with cognition, desperate. It does. And then to be able to stabilize and to stay on target so that I could focus and be here with you. So it takes a lot of brain power to do that. It takes a lot of brain cells to do that. And if they are damaged in any way, shape, or form, that's when you begin to see changes in the individual and changes in behavior and mostly decline in the ability to navigate their lives. When we think about when the brain cells cannot communicate normally, your thinking, your behavior, and feelings, everything impacts you. Sounds, birds, the sun not coming up or the sun going down early, sundowning as we call it. The brain has many, many regions, distinct regions that are responsible for everything that we do, even waking up. Okay. I noticed it the other day. I have Alexa at home. My children gave that to me, and she wakes me up right at a certain time. And recently, because I've been going to bed on time, or at least trying to, and trying to get more sleeps because of my recent depression and insomnia, I wake up at 5 anyway. So it was like I woke up before her. So it's kind of interesting. That's a clock, right? That's a clock from habitual behavior. My body has now a natural clock that I wake up at 5 a.m. That almost destroyed me when I was in Belgium. That 9-hour time difference, 5 o'clock California time, I was like, bing, 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 bing. But again, that's when you know that your cognition and that brain, that wonderful thing between our two ears is functioning. And when it's damaged, that function is very, very hard. I want you to know there is a free e-learning class put together by the Alzheimer's Association on all of these topics. Feel free to go forward there and look for more. And also, when we are trying to diagnose dementia, know that go early, my friends. If you really think that you're losing memory, if your activities of daily living are impacting your quality of life, something got in my eye, quality of life, don't be afraid. Go to your doctor, try to get a MOCA, which is an exam to see cognitively where you are. I think it's the score is 30, and they will measure from 1 to 30 where you land. It's a battery of questions and testing that they do. They may, the neurologist may become involved and do an MRI, all of those things. But the sooner, if you really are tracking your aging, and I don't want to put it to aging, because there's, like I said, there's people down there that are very young that have dementia of different types. But if something is happening and it's not an injury, but you're experiencing it and you're keeping it to yourself, go get help. There are new drugs. I'm not a big, I'm a purist. But there are drugs out there that can delay the progression of the disease. There are activities that you can do now. We're finding all kinds of activities. I'm becoming a professional puzzle putter together. I'm getting a professional puzzle table so that I can clear up my kitchen table. But do enjoy life as long as you can. Engage in as many activities as you can. Get out of ruts. Wake up the brain and get things going. And if you are experiencing any forms of dementia, short-term memory loss, appointment, losing your wallet, can't find your keys, find out what it is. Sometimes these things are reversible. They're not the doom and gloom Alzheimer's or that you've had a stroke. It could be something, medication you're on. It could be a form of depression. It could be a lot of things, but you need to find out. I'm not a big proponent, I'm not a big advocate. Again, I'm a purist for medications or any of that kind of thing. But if it's going to increase your quality of life and help you to navigate longer, enjoy life longer, then I'm all for it. So I hope this podcast has helped you in some way, shape, or form. Please write in the chat if it did or if it did not, how we could have done it better to give you the type of information that you might need to take forth to share with others or to use this information to help people around you. Aging, Alzheimer's, dementia, all of these things that we speak about in our society are things that sometimes have cures for them, sometimes have areas of connection where we can make things better, and sometimes not. But if we talk about them and learn from each other, then we have the ability to change the quality of life for those around us and for ourselves. So I want to thank you for coming to Life is a Sacred Journey. If you are a person that is out there that is dealing with depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts, please pick up the phone, grab a phone, don't steal it, but grab a phone from somebody and dial 988 or 1-800-273-8255. There will be a voice on the other end. There will be a person on the other end that will talk with you, that will walk with you and support you through this time. The holiday seasons are upon us, and it's not happy, joy for everybody. And so, no, 988 1-800-273-8255. There's support and there's help, and there are people who care. You matter, and the world would not be the place that it would be worse than it is without you. So hang in there a little bit longer, get some help, and all of us at Life is a Sacred Journey send you our wishes, courage, and strength to make that call. 988-1-800-273-8255. If you are a person that isn't experiencing any of that, depression or whatever, reach out, make a call, send a text, send a GIF, send a I love you, send a I think I got I can't get it. Somebody do it for me. Somebody do it for me. But you know what I mean, the heart thing. Somebody, there it is. But let them know you care. Even if they are the strongest person in the whole wide world, or you think they are. Thank you, Nancy Redding, for doing that for me, and Sandy Blazer, and all of you that reach out to me on a regular, just because you know my story. So I wish you a wonderful weekend. I wish you no shopping in any major way. Make something for somebody. Make something for somebody. Stop buying, save your money. Save your money. People who love you will understand, and people who only love you because you give them gifts, I'd think about that. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go out into the world. It's a beautiful day. The sun is up. The moon has been full the last couple of nights. It's magnificent. I hope it still is tonight. Go up and howl at it for me. I'll be doing that around 8 o'clock or so. Howl at the moon and pet a cat. pet a dog, hug a tree, and more importantly, hug yourself. Because when you love yourself, you come out into the world presenting the best person that you can be, and therefore we will change this world in our lifetime. I hope you have a great weekend. Peace.